Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phoebe and today I'm going to be talking through my 24 most anticipated reads for 2024. So the way that I've done this, just under half of them are anticipated releases. So books that aren't out yet, books that are coming out in 2024 that I'm excited about. Just over the remaining half are books that I physically own, except two of them, books that are already released that I'm really excited to get to and that are kind of my priorities for 2024. I uploaded a TikTok a couple of weeks ago of 24 books to read in 2024. These are different. So the ones on TikTok were books that, for the most part, other than one or two of them, they were books that I've owned for a long time and I need a bit of a push to read, so I've created that list. There's only, I think, two on here that are the same as in that TikTok. These are all books that I might have only just bought them for quite a lot of them, but I'm just really excited to read them. They're really anticipated reads. And then, as I said, we've got the ones that aren't released yet. I'm going to start with the ones that are already released, the ones that for the most part I own, and then we will get into the ones that are my anticipated releases. So I'm going to quickly start with the two that are already released but I don't own them. The first one is The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I can't get hold of this in any physical bookshop. It doesn't seem to really be released here yet in actual bookstores. They have it on Amazon but I've just not ordered it yet. So The 7 Year Slip is a romance book. It's a bit like magical realism, which I usually don't like, but this book has got such amazing rave reviews that I really am quite excited to read it. I think I'm going to listen to it on audiobook on Spotify in January, and then if I like it I'll get the physical copy after. And then the next one I do own on my Kindle but not physically is the Briar You series, which is a bit rogue because it's old, but I read the Off Campus series like 2 years ago now and absolutely loved it, and for some reason I've just never continued on and read Briar You, so I really want to get to that series this year and see if it still kind of holds up and still see if I will enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the Off Campus series. Now moving on to the books that I do own. The first one is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, and if I enjoy this, the whole series that is out so far. This is a romance book and it's slightly different to the romances I usually read. It's not a kind of rom-com happy kind of romance. It's a bit more of a, it feels like a bit more of a gritty kind of raw romance that follows these characters' lives. I think they're teenagers or like early 20s, I'm not sure. I think they might be teenagers, and it is set in Ireland, so I'm really excited to read this one. I'm going to try and get to it in the first couple of months so that if I do enjoy it I can crack on with the rest of the series. The next one is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. Again, this is kind of a little bit of a different romance. I think it's a second chance romance and it's, I believe, set in New York, and I'm obsessed with books that are set in New York, so again, really excited to read this one. Something a little bit different in between the kind of more happy, fluffy romances that I tend to read. Next one is one of said happy, fluffy romances as far as I'm aware, and it is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I'm a bit behind on Ali Hazelwood's releases, not because I don't enjoy them, but because I'm trying to pace myself because I'd never want to run out of them because I love her books so much. They have the best humour in them, they just really make me laugh, and they're just like really sweet, cute romances. This one, I believe, she's fake dating his brother, I think, which I've never read anything like that before, so I'm really excited to get to this. I keep saying really excited, obviously I'm really excited or else they won't be on this list, but yeah, very much wanting to get to this one quite soon now that Ali Hazelwood has got a couple of new releases coming out next year, so I think it's probably time I catch up on the backlist and get these ones read. Next one is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. I've read the first two in this series. This is the third book in the Knock 'Em Out series, and this is Lucian and Sloane's story. This has got quite mixed reviews, but I'm still really excited to read it. I've been anticipating Lucian and Sloane's romance since the first book. I've been really excited, so I'm kind of going into this prepared that I know there's a lot of stuff in here that isn't to do with the romance, so I'm kind of going in prepared for that. But I just hope we get a little bit of something satisfying to do with Lucian and Sloane. The next one is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I don't have my dust jacket on because I don't know where I've put my dust jackets for these copies. I've got the special editions with the different image things on the front. But I've still not started the series, despite the fact that I own the whole series and I own 4 copies of the first book. I still haven't read it, and it's because I understand that I don't have to read the Caraval trilogy first. I know you don't have to, and I don't know if I will, but I've got it in my head that I hate reading things like out of order. But I think what I might do, I think I'm just going to go into this, and then if I like this trilogy, I'll probably go back and read Caraval after, because I'm not going to read Caraval anytime soon. I don't have the same kind of urge to read that as I do with this trilogy. So I think I might try and get to this in January. And then, as I said, the second book is on the way. I've purchased it, and then I've already got the third book. So fingers crossed I like this, considering I own 4 copies of it and own the rest of the series. But yeah, I'm going to try and get to this quite near the beginning of 2024. Next one is the Inheritance Games. I still haven't read the Inheritance Games trilogy, but I really want to get to it soon. I think as soon as I'm in the mood for something that's not a romance or a fantasy, because I've been in a massive romance mood for like the last year, now I'm in a proper fantasy mood. So I think by the time I'm a bit burnt out on those, as soon as I want to read something a bit different, I'm going to go into the Inheritance Games. I think this does have a bit of a romance in it, but it's definitely, as far as I'm aware, not the main plot. It's more of a kind of mystery, trying to figure things out. So yeah, as soon as I'm in the mood for something that's not fantasy or romance, I'm going to pick the Inheritance Games series up. The next one is a newer release, and that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I haven't read all of Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunters series. I've only read the first 2 books and I didn't love them. But it's only the plot of those that I don't love. I really enjoy her writing, and I don't like the particular characters in The Mortal Instruments so far. I like some of them, but I don't like the main 2. But I like Cassandra Clare's characterisation. So I thought, we'll go with this, something different to Shadowhunters, and much less, even though it's a big book, it's less overwhelming to me because it's not part of this massive universe. And then if I enjoy this, then I'm going to go back to Shadowhunters and try and read through kind of all of her backlist. But I thought, we'll start here, basically to see if her writing and storytelling has potential. Because as I said, it's just the specific plot of the Mortal Instruments first 2 books that I don't like. Next one, again, is a really old book, Culty by Mariana Zapata. This is my Mariana Zapata shelf. I love her books, but for some reason, some odd reason, I've never read Culty, even though I feel like it's one of, if not her most popular. For some reason, I've just never read it. I've owned this for like 2 years, and I don't know why I haven't read it. I think it's just one of those books that I'm quite confident I'm going to love it. So I've just kind of got it sat on my shelf ready, waiting for when I need a sports romance that I'm pretty sure I'm going to love, if that makes sense. It's like with Carrie Soto is Back. I still haven't read it, even though I'm obsessed with Taylor Jenkins Reid, because I just like having a few of those books on my shelves that I feel like I know I'm going to like them. But I think the time's probably come for me to actually read Culty now, because I must have had this physical copy for like 2 or 3 years at this point. The next one, I am really excited to continue with the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, and the next book for me is Kiss the Sky. I've read the first few books in the series, and this is the next one. I'm a bit I'm not over Lillian Lowe. I am excited to get back to Lillian Lowe and see how their story in particular concludes, but the first 3 books were all about Lillian Lowe. So I am excited now to read about some of the different characters that we've been introduced to, and I think it'll be a nice kind of breather to get me back into the series without having to still be in the heads of Lillian Lowe, if that makes sense. The next one is the Skyward Flight novellas. These are essentially the Skyward novellas. It's just called Skyward Flight. They're kind of bind up of them. So this is quite big, but it is, I think it's 3 different novellas in here. And this is part of the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. And then leading on from that, we've got the final actual book in the series, which is Defiant. So obviously, well, I don't think you have to read the novellas, but I love the universe, so I am going to read the novellas, hopefully in January, February, and then get into Defiant so I can finish off that series, because it's one of those series that I kind of underrate it in my own head. I kind of forget how much I actually really enjoyed the first 3 books when I read them. So I am excited to kind of dive back into that universe. The next one is Crown of Midnight. I want to carry on with the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I own the next couple, so I am excited to get to these. I think this is probably one that in January I'm going to want to kind of dive straight into. I really enjoyed the beginning of the series, and I think I will only love it more as time goes on and as I get into the books. I think it's going to be one of those series that could potentially cement itself as one of my favourite series ever, the more I kind of get into the story and the more I get to know the characters. The next one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Apparently this is like a really tension-filled fantasy romance, and I love a bit of good old tension in a fantasy romance book. Erica Rowley in particular said that the tension in this puts the tension in books like Fourth Wing that everyone's raving about to shame. So I'm so excited to get to this again. I think this is going to be like, I'm torn because I've been wanting to read this for 2 months. I've been so tempted every time I look at it to pick it up, but the sequel doesn't come out until I think July. So on one hand, I want to read this straight away, but on the other hand, I kind of want to push it and make myself wait a bit longer so that I don't have to wait too long in between this and the sequel if I end up really enjoying this, which I feel like I'm going to. And then the last of the books that I own before we get on to my anticipated releases is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Again, this has been quite hyped. Again, Sarah Caroli actually has talked about this quite a lot and how much she loves it. This is, I think, a bit of a slower fantasy. It's not necessarily, from what I understand, I don't think it's necessarily like a super high stakes, really dramatic fantasy. I think it's a bit more of a kind of quiet, understated fantasy romance. So yeah, as soon as I'm in the mood for a fantasy that's not kind of super high stakes, I think this will be the first one that I go for. Right, moving on to my anticipated releases. I've got them on my phone, so sorry if I keep looking down. I'm going to try not to. So my first anticipated release is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. This is the last of the Magnolia Parks books in the Magnolia Parks Daisy Hates kind of universe. Oh, I'm excited but I'm sad because I don't want this to be over, and I'm so scared that Jessa Hastings is going to put my heart on the floor and stomp it into 3,000 pieces with this book. I'm so scared that it's going to be really sad, and I just pray that it's not. I pray that Magnolia and BJ get the happy ending that they deserve to have and that they need to have, because I don't think I can handle it. I don't think I can actually handle it if this book ends on like a bad note. So let's keep our fingers crossed. The next one is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is a new series from Elsie Silver. I believe, I could be wrong, I haven't even looked, I believe it's still in the kind of cowboy realm, but it is separate from Chestnut Springs. So now that Chestnut Springs is done, ever since then I've been like, I don't know, I'd never thought I'd enjoy a cowboy slash bull rider type romances, but that series just hooked me in, and ever since I finished it I've been kind of, I don't know, just waiting for something of that similar kind of vibe to come along. So I'm really excited to see what her new series is about, and I always love Elsie Silver's characters as well. I can always kind of rely on the fact that her writing's good and that I'm going to love the characters and want to kind of follow their story as well. So whatever it's about, I'm sure she will find some kind of way to make me fall in love with it. The next one is, I don't think it has a title yet. As I'm filming this, it doesn't. It might do by the time this has gone up. It is the sequel to Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, the second book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. I loved Love Redesigned more than I expected to. I kind of just picked it up and listened to it on Spotify on a bit of a whim. I do enjoy Lauren Asher's books, but I wasn't particularly kind of dying to read Love Redesigned as soon as it came out, but I ended up doing so. I really enjoyed Love Redesigned. I love the characters, I love the story, I love Lauren Asher's writing now. I didn't love it in the, what's it called, Dirty Air series. I ended up DNFing that series, but the newer Lauren Asher's books get, no, that doesn't make sense. The more recent her books are, the more I seem to love them. Every new release she comes out with, I seem to enjoy it more than the last. So yeah, I'm very excited for this sequel to come out and to be able to go back into that world, because the setting of it is so beautiful. The next one is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Now this is weird because I've just shown you Powerless and said I've not read it yet, but Reckless is the sequel to Powerless, and I'm already anticipating it because I'm just so confident. I'm trying not to go into Powerless with insane hopes. I'm not going in thinking, oh, it's going to be a 6 out of 5, but I just don't see a world in which I'm not going to enjoy it enough to be anticipating the sequel. And I think Powerless ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, or a lot of a cliffhanger from what I've heard. So I am already anticipating the sequel, even though I've not even read Powerless yet. The next one is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the third book in the, I don't know what the series is called, the Icebreaker series. So we've got Icebreaker, Wildfire. The next one is Daydream, and this is Henry's book. This is Henry's book. I thought she'd make us wait longer than this, to be fair. I'm quite glad she's given us Henry's book as book 3. I thought she was going to do like an 8-book series and put Henry's as the last one because it's the one that we've all been wanting. But I'm so excited for this. And the girl on the cover is wearing a Taylor Swift cardigan. I actually can't. The next one is Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the sequel to Done and Dusted, which I read this month and absolutely loved it. It was the perfect kind of perfect, like, what do I mean? It was the perfect kind of stand-in to satisfy my cravings for cowboy romances, because it is very much a cowboy kind of vibe, like the Chestnut Springs series, and I really, really enjoyed it, so I'm very excited for the sequel. The next one is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I think this is a werewolf romance, which isn't something I typically read. Anything to do with werewolves and vampires sounds really interesting in my head, but often the execution of those books doesn't work for me. But I am confident that if anyone can do it, this sounds odd because Ali Hazelwood's literally like a rom-com fluffy romance writer, but because I love her writing so much, I'm confident that I will at least like it, even if it's not a new favourite of all time. And I'm just excited, even though I love the STEM novels that she writes, I'm not tired of them. I know other people are, I'm not. I could read her STEM romances forever. I am also excited to just see what she can do in a different genre. And then the last one is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, which I believe is another STEM novella. So yeah, these are all the books that I am most excited for, whether or not they are already released, to read in 2024. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to see me ending up reading all of these books, do subscribe down below, because there's going to be plenty of reading vlogs and reviews and things like that coming in 2024. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up down below. All my socials are linked down in the description if you are interested in seeing me anywhere else on the internet, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!